Venerable Geshe Tsultim
Let us cultivate the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. With that kind of altruistic motivation or bodhicitta motivation, that we should all participate in this teaching. I think it's important for us to recognize and understand that the Dharma, spirituality or teaching that we are following, it originated with our historical teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. In other words, we are following the teaching, spiritual teaching of Buddha Shakyamuni.
Tapi gonde ni jaga pentu ta dana yega ta ndo sene ane peje kewa chong ndo shima na yote ngaran so tenda kini shi jute ta ndo sene chegwaris.
The teachings I have been giving you all this time are based upon the spiritual resources which are contained in the three baskets of Dharma, which in Sanskrit are called Tripitaka, the basket of discourses, the basket of ethical disciplines, and the basket of wisdom. And of course, great Indian masters have written hundreds of commensal treatises called Shastras on Buddha's original teachings contained in Tripitaka. And also there are hundreds of commentaries and works written on Buddha's teachings by many great Tibetan masters. So all of this constitute the resources that we have, and all the teachings that you have been participating in and that I have been giving you are based upon, or they are embedded in these spiritual literatures and resources. I believe that most of you know something about the life story of Shakyamuni Buddha. I think it's really important for us to really have some understanding of Buddha's life story, because Buddha is extremely kind to us and is very precious to us. And so it's important for us to have some kind of historical understanding of Shakyamuni Buddha. Where was he born in this part of the world?
아니 산제 캐릭터부터 총세다 그래 시다 총유대 아니 자가 파괴 율세 그래다 자가 그 농바된 먼저 파괴 율세 그래서 파괴 율세 체도 파괴 그 얘는 다 산제 기대 준비네 손자네 파괴 율세 놓스 교가 그래서 대 자갈 통그래서
Shakyamuni Buddha was born in India. And India, in traditional language, is referred to as Arya land, meaning Arya in the sense of transcendental, and that's because many realized beings, especially Shakyamuni Buddha, was born in India, so that made India a special land or an extraordinary place.
당연 저기 등산 안에 더블 총사들 lumbine에서 그래서 lumbine에 다 등산 내가 자가고 레스 자가 사절에서 손자 다 등산 배우기 쇼리 요래 뒤에네 뒤 갑라니 다 자가 그런 것이네 총사 총이되네 lumbi 다 총사 lumbine에서
The place Buddha was born historically is known as Lumbini, which used to be part of India. If we go back in history, but today Lumbini is in the territory of Nepal.
다음에 폐구에 가르쳐 때 뒤에까지 배우서는 아니 다디 갑라니 메탄소 마와가 첼로 잡토고 그래서 첼로 잡이들 배우랬어.
And Buddha appeared at a time when the lifespan of human beings at the max was considered 100 years. So at such a particular time, Shakyamuni Buddha decided to come to our human world.
다음에 누구시는 다 산재 있는 자면을 마페고나 아니 간대기는서 땅 띵헌의 가방 다리 띵헌 다 산재 차원에서.
According to the Mahayana Buddhist perspective, many eons before Shakyamuni Buddha decided to come to our world, he had already become a complete enlightened being or Buddha. So in other words, when Buddha came to our world, according to this particular perspective, he was already an enlightened person.
다음은 이제 those pages 안에 다 같이 뱅아란서 나기시니 그래서 다 소셜 라마산님들이 표기가 말했어. 즉방알을 signi. 그거를 signi 아니 삼균도 지나는 거랬어.
Buddha's coming to the world was based upon his own decision and power and his own willingness. It's not the same like us. We have been thrown into whatever situation we find ourselves in by our karmic actions. But Buddha, he was able to decide, where he wanted to manifest himself, what time, under what circumstances, and so on. So before coming to our human world, he investigated different situations, and so we talked about 5 different sites of Buddha, situations that he looked at. So the situation he investigated included in whatever particular, caste system in India that he wanted, to be reborn, and what particular time that wanted to come to the world, and who would be his parents, mom and dad.
손자가 옆에 잡으세 짱마타 다가는 임음때니 주말한지 다 제가 망포니 pen 제가 용킹이다 임 주말한지가니 흠스큐 넘버스.
Buddha's parents had very strong karmic connection with Buddha from many other lifetimes. So that's how he decided to be born as a prince of one of the Indian kings by the name of King Shuddhodana. That was Buddha's father's name. And Queen Maya Devi, that was Buddha's mother's name. So these two parents had strong karmic connection with Buddha from many previous lifetimes.
아니 더 듄이 휴기스 제가 던디가 안타 유음디 주말한지 그 세스코 땀니 데네진의 렘베다 아니 더지다 산지가 님베 제바끼인 도슨 제요레스.
So he was born from the womb of Queen Maya Devi, and then as he grew up, basically we try to summarize Buddha's actions or activities under what is known as 12 principal deeds of Shakyamuni Buddha.
다 괜히 보다 다 틱된 규모 그아치 아니 흠스 규빈 자반네 꼬냥린 데빈 자바 받다 자바 괜히도 되나요레스.
So the 12 principal deeds of a Buddha began with his decision to conceive in the womb of Queen Maya Devi and birth after that, and then all the way to last action of his life, which is referred to as passing into parinirvana.
손자다 아니 산지 다 노시니 그땀 되는 아니 그땀이 잡았다 다가나기 아니 윤으로 저적인 잡았다 아니 점이 거절은 다 자시종인 잡았다 되는 전에 라도종인 잡아시 도시 아니 되는 아니 로드 타와시빈 잡아시 아니 도시빈 잡았다 그래서.
So what we find in the 12 principal deeds of Shakyamuni Buddha are what we call deeds such as that after birth, as he grew up, so he excelled in his education in arts and skills and crafts. And so at one point he also got married, and in order to provide leadership, political leadership, you might say, to his kingdom. And so later he decided to renounce his royal life and dedicate himself into spirituality, and then he became ordained person or monk. And then also he spent 6 years in penance or austere spiritual practices. And of course the final, all those things culminated into his becoming a complete enlightened or fully awakened person called Buddha.
다 되는 애니 중국고 다 중국은 제반 제네 또 뒤바로 될때 안에 다 그런 그 아래 다 юм데 애니 하는 공부 좀 해서.
So before Shakyamuni Buddha really actually was born, literally, his mother, Queen Maya Devi, unfortunately passed away.
손자다 공부 안에 юм데 안에 숨지 자순가 산일에 nen도스 곧담요레스.
So Buddha's mom passed away before he was born, actually, and then she was reborn in a spiritual paradise called 33rd celestial abode, or Triyatrimsara in Sanskrit, 33rd level of heaven.
다 되는 애니 다 중국어인 자반 제네 다디 바루텔 아니 단도세네 아니 юм그다 트레닝사가 그체도 아니 다 юм들 사유린도시 그 담바다 다가나게 사던 юм당 코랑 그 장시점인데 그 юм당 아니 사예전도 위체도 아니 다 하니를 패야던 도시 고메게 브레스.
After Buddha attained his complete enlightenment, and then he spent some time in silence, and he decided to give, spiritual teachings, which are called sermons or the turnings of wheel of Dharma, Dharma Chakra Parivartan in Sanskrit. And so he started to give teachings, and then at certain interval, it is believed that he decided to visit his mother in the 33rd, paradise or heaven, celestial abode, to pay kindness, and also, he saw that it was the right time to go and also benefit many celestial beings spiritually. So then Buddha decided to make a visit to his mother in the, in this particular celestial realm.
다 걔는 아니 공 안에 수기자선 표디잖니 다 공그 콜라 아니 기tin지 감니 다 준트다 뎀베 본연의 배 통계 그 작경부터 다나 이스마 방법인도 쓰니 페어레스.
So when Buddha made his visit to his mother in that particular spiritual abode, heaven, there were many realized bodhisattvas as well as arhats, who had a power, miraculous power, to be able to accompany Buddha on this visit to his mom.
손자다 대 아니 숨기서 하니 폐니 다 이게 아니 하도 아니 저기 체도 아니 야르진 나와숨 야니 되는 나와숨 링간 이게 다 하율이 유남레스.
So for the benefit of his mother and many other celestial divine beings, Buddha spent a whole summer retreat. He did summer retreat in the 33rd, the paradise of the heaven, benefiting his mom and celestial beings through spiritual teachings.
다티 유브링간 아니 사던 전에 다 취했니 아니 작동 시험만보다 그래 선한리긴도다 아니 배 사던 전에 타바다 tangi심이 공부하는 거야 그다 답에 사백을 뚫나래.
So Buddha's visit to his mom and leading a summer retreat there for 3 months was extremely beneficial to the inhabitants of that world system, and he was able to plant very firm seeds in the minds of tens and thousands of course millions of divine beings to be able to strive for liberation and enlightenment.
다 쪽도 그런데 수기자선에 아니 라까비 더스다 기여인 버다 대일 아니 비덴텐 돈 요네 아니 조들은 그렇게도 총나도.
One of the teachings Buddha gave there is on what we call Tenzin Dorjee sutra, dealing with white parasol, literally translating the title, which is practice dealing with Ushnisha, the deity, and so that was one of the teachings, discourses Buddha gave there.
And those songs are 조들 도가진도 세고야 가르르세나 헤네 마사시니 조조도니 조조도 도가진도스.
The reason why that particular discourse Buddha gave us called Sutra from his Ushnisha. Ushnisha is, for a better and exacting term in English, it is the crown protrusion that Buddha has on the top of his head. So he gave teaching that discourse from that crown protrusion or Ushnisha. He did not teach it from his mouth. He was taught by Ushnish.
다 띵한저 고디전 띵띵전 다 원한저 상제적 것도 송다 투就是把几个人吧其他故事都被故事俺们那个满意아니 백문이 돈이 다 나바 생기 집이 이게 가능이나 다 구성 투도 기본 백상 거.
So this would be maybe kind of unthinkable to us, because for us, body, speech, and mind seem to be different entities. Our body cannot give teaching or do such things. But what that really tells us that when you become a complete enlightened being, your body, speech, and mind all seem to acquire the same entityness. They are of the same nature. Buddha's omniscient mind pervades his body, his speech, and so on. So therefore, Buddha was able to give teaching, through his physical manifestation or through different parts of his body, such as Ushnish, crown.
다른 돌을 시기나 뜻하나 아니 dingi seper pangpe namba tangi jimi hig rangi tengi any kota sonta tu ta tiba chagers.
So if really look deeply in this thing, how could that be a part of a body, involved in giving teaching, literally, and that's not your mouth, but that's, your crown protrusion. If you're still wondering, if you really look deep down into this issue of the matter, what you can see is this, that our mind is completely purified of two mental obscurations, obscuration to liberation and obscuration to omniscience. When our mind becomes, omniscient mind, it is mind which arises in a physical form of a Buddha, and it's that mind which manifests in enlightened speech. So therefore, Buddha's body is not in the nature of a matter, material things as we have, but it's in the nature of his exalted, omniscient wisdom. So therefore, wisdom could give teaching, So that, that's what we should be able to understand.
다운나 쪽도니 해여도 이게 말 쪽도니 손에 딱 그거 좀 보여라. 때면 하면 때 송고에 눈친데 하고 그랬어.
There is a really big reason behind why Buddha decided to give teaching using his crown protrusion or Ushnisha rather than speaking for himself. Buddha does not do things randomly. He did not decide to do it just for some, curiosity or, just fun. There was a big reason behind why Buddha at that particular time did not speak from his mouth, but rather he taught using his crown protrusion.
다 저런서 하고 그러왔어. 근데 다 상제게 아니 빌레 다 샤슈미 때 아니 군가서 요라 다자콩 샤슈리 다 니테 좀 던져고 송라서 니테 좀 저랑 상제 샤슈리 내고 도서잖니 그런 거당 앵게 상제를 빼다 간득하게 교회 던져 아니 상제는 늘 송순하니 내게 도시야.
I think many of you have heard the name Ananda, who was, perhaps the closest disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha. So in today's kind of a situation, we could maybe see him as Buddha's principal attendant. He was always with Buddha, maybe 7-11. So actually it was, many other arhats realized who sort of, suggested or even assigned Ananda to be Buddha's principal attendant. And before he accepted that request or the assignment, whichever way you want to put it, Ananda seemed to have sort of made some deal with the Buddha. He said, well, I have few things to request Buddha. If he my request, then I will become his sort of attendant.
다 당보도 그러지. 네 강 큐브데 네 생스 마다 미준저가 날에 다 저런 상지 연코를 가서다 틀이 협시 중에 제자 아니 미정 땅 머신도 근데 주인이 교를 교수는 생거를 했어. 교래 생거를 했어. 교다 이유성보다.
간데스 갱이도 보면서
단단데 me hinda that Sanya Hugo. You should not tell any except in our announced.
Mishabag Christian.
In that unit that machine of the Nikia, Jurandi, Sanjay and Duke Rush said Yorwa.
I don't know
that is Marshall.
So one of the requests he made to the Buddha Shakyamuni was that, if other people ask me to ask you something, make a request to you through me, so you have you to accept such request.
Then Sanjay then degree someone.
The Buddha said, okay, that's fine with me.
That give the any that Sanjay not message chosen Masuroshis. Karina, you said about Koran and the Captain Tila and Sanjay Choker song was the Malakajatina. Ye have go Mason Nakunzu eating Maris. Karina Sanjay Kuchaku did this. Not message chosen Masurunas degree someone.
So then the second request he made to Buddha was, he said, please do not give any teachings in my absence. Because he said, because once I become your principal attendant, that means I'm with you. Next time, if you give teaching in my absence and other people ask me, and then if I say I don't know, and then they're going to lose trust in me, because how can it be? You're always with Buddha.
Right.
So therefore, I want you to not to give any teaching in my absence. And okay, that's fine.
That's somebody. And Sanjay Tamdi, the Churang and Nasa Ning but later. This Lamud of Litaning is Nange, this Tenzo long shave in a mittens of Ningala, but that is Sanjay Tenzo long shave and San Madiva Chegres.
Yes.
The man reject.
And then the third request Buddha was said, please do not, I should say, give me any of your, used ropes or like, your food or something, because then other people will lose faith in me. They said, okay, now he is, making use of Buddha's resources and, all that. So I don't want people to lose faith and trust in me, so please don't do that. And Buddha, okay, that's fine too.
That chance on the was Tangi Koran Kungo Messel Church and Mason Center, Kungo did and Dragon become a Toyo Mare, just also Dragon becomes a Junju talked it any entire to Yama Song, Kungo Yama, just like here in Mason, we told them so good at that dictaries.
So as just to recall you, the second request Ananda made to Buddha was that please do not teach. The way it means, don't speak, and give teachings in my absence. And so Buddha accepted that. So when Buddha visited his, mart, Ananda was not able to accompany Buddha on that visit because Ananda was not yet an arhat. And he did not have the miraculous power to go with Buddha to that particular paradise or heaven. So he had to back behind, and so couldn't give. He said, okay, I will not speak and give teachings in your absence already. So therefore, Buddha gave teaching or discourses in his ushnish or crown protrusion.
That is thing that thanking Tendal Sanoton, the Sanji got a song the two, you may take him back down about the Cheshire, the Shia Chedo, and those nine.
So, of course, one of the reasons we could say why Buddha did not use his mouth or speak and give teachings on visit, because he promised to Anta that he wouldn't do that. But more important than that is, I think the reason I gave you before, that Buddha's body, speech, and mind are all in the nature of exalted, omniscient wisdom. So Buddha's body is not a material body like ours that cannot really teach, and so it's in the nature of wisdom, and so that's important. That's more important reason for Buddha's teaching through his crown protrusion.
That's Sanjay and 다 라유는 나와 숨지는 거 유자다 이제 이제 감 아니 이제 다 근데 다 자가했다 근데 늦었던 저 배다 주는 거 기비치 다 가르쳐 그러다 주는 거 기비치 다 산지 만개 잔다 근데 배 가서 그러다 가도 예요 산담바다 제네 구구들다.
So when Buddha visited his mother and he spent a whole summer retreat in that particular celestial abode, people in India, they really missed him so much because it was quite a long time for them, 3 months. Buddha was gone, and so they all, I should say, waiting for Buddha to come back, to return to India.
That in London, that's land of variation. Dadane, and the child doing in the Geshes and then Sanjay Gizan Tassa, Tanzama Peg in those in production.
So people in India were missing him so much, and then for some auspicious reasons, that celestial beings, who always support predictive actions, they used their power, and sort of a voice came from the sky announcing that Buddha would be returning to India in a week.
So that tradition is that Sanjay Pesu translator, tradition, Chebe, Chebe, San Human that Dungo Shene, that good and that drink the papers.
Of course, that voice delighted, the Indian people, so much, and so then they went right into making an extensive welcome reception party, maybe today's language, or arrangements to welcome Buddha back to India. And so today is the day, according to lunar calendar. This is the 22nd day of 9th lunar month that Shakyamuni Buddha descended from Tushita to the human world.
That thing is the Jagalata, Lujarekin Sum Cigarette, Yentujerikin, Ranjerikin, Tubachin, and the Jerikin Sumche, so Tomabatin, Chebit, Toast, those who go sheta, and telling mandos and tell having my penny, and you can do Zamilian mandos, pay to Shinta Tigris.
Today is a big celebration day, looking back also, thousands of years back, that, the whole assembly of realized beings and commoners, the common people in India, so there were the Sharvakas and the Patika Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and, ordinary citizens and people, everybody was eagerly waiting to welcome Buddha with extensive arrangements, and this is the day that they were happy to see Buddha come back to India.
That the zone, that low Ninton, that Naja Nani, that Naja Nani, in the zone, they need to Tajapado, that one done those in that Jahala language, Pearl and Ningu to Shintang about the Sheriff.
So from that day, Buddha came back from Tushita to our world, to India in particular, and since that time on, Buddhism had, Tibet and Indian Buddhists have been celebrating, marking this auspicious day with a lot of religious ceremonies and festivities.
That the Mingla Sally Pep to Shins, Sanjay, Jumdin, and Salima, Pepe to Shins, and those in the Koran Mingos raised.
So this particular day of joy and victory is called Sala Baba Dujin, Buddha coming back from or descending from a heaven.
That the Yard my pen attending the attention. So that Chimberesta, to him the Sanjay, the young to him the Zabakuni tell Roguya Maris.
So this is a very important day, in Buddha's life, but I must also clarify that this is not considered as one of the principal 12 deeds of Shakyamuni Buddha.
So the tongue around the Hakong was Sanjay Yin, Muni Tonic, rank, shape Mati Touch
So from this story, what we also should be able to understand and see is that even in the case of Shakya Buddha, he was a Buddha, how much he appreciated the kindness of his mother. He went to the to visit his mom and repay her kindness through teachings. So this also gives us a lesson that we should really feel the kindness of our mother and be grateful to our moms. So as followers of Shakyamuni Buddha, I think we need to learn to appreciate the kindnesses of our mothers, respect them, and in whatever way we can repay their kindness or, either help them directly or indirectly, we do that. So by being appreciative of mothers' kindnesses and caring for mothers and respecting them, I think we are benefited because, after all these positive actions, they will bring positive results to ourselves. We are Buddhists or practitioners, and especially we are practitioners of Bodhisattva's way of life or Mahayana Buddhism. And the central ideas within Mahayana Buddhism that we need to apply into our life and cultivate to do practice include cultivating a winning mind, altruistic mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta, and the wisdom gone beyond, the wisdom realizing emptiness, shunyata is. And when we look at how can we cultivate bodhicitta in our mind, the almost step that we have to take is to be able to recognize all sentient beings as having been our kind mothers. So when we look over many lifetimes, we see that every sentient being has, as a matter of fact, become our kind mother. So we need to recognize that and remember their kindnesses. So once we, let's say, recognize that all sentient beings have been very kind to us as our mothers at another time, then, what logically, follows from that kind of understanding or recognition is that I want to repay their kindnesses.
So that Senje Tamji, that Senje Tamji, the Kadi Chamber in but the Hibuji can Lojong the Tag is a Lojong teachings in the Mendu, Takandiki in a co Tambo de Senje Tamji and the Kadi Chamber in but in those in the Kanang was.
Especially in the, this collected works of teachings called Lojong, Mind Training or Thought Transformation. We find in literature so much, importance is given to recognizing all beings as having been our mothers and remembering the kindnesses and repair kindnesses.
Just as Sanjay come in the Trillion law at the Sanjay Trillion law at the back, Chichugone. And the law now says that Naranjo at the Trillion law at the Naranjo, the Church and Inga on Naranjo to shelter.
So Sakyamuni Buddha repaid the kindness of his mother through spiritual teachings. And this is what we should also hope to do, that we will repay the kindness of our sentient beings through spirituality, because that's the best way to repay their kindnesses. Of course, practically, if you're able to help them, with material things, sure, we should do that as well. But we may be limited in terms of providing material help to, mother sentient beings, so that to repay their kindness is through cultivate spirituality and give and teaching and giving them spiritual things.
진짜 땡산도 고마워지는 냥마타바 제 망고 시디전 땅에 파마들 첨음이 좀 날나비었다. 내 생각이 중요해. 제가 등수 짠 된대요 말이지. 소소래니 베게 팬야 그 팬도 유형의 제도 딱지 타본도 된데 다 네, 지금 말을 보시는 요 등수 배 인을 짠네. 까지 그 쇼 까지 첨부 인바도 빼는 소소는 뒤인 중요해 된 나와기서 쇼는데 내가서 이게 강하게 되는 걸 도시. that's the same 나와도 로도 나와시냐 상부터 배 짠 말을 진짜 게부터 나랑 배 탑도 기부지 차고요.
Well, I haven't heard anything being said against mothers for quite a long period of. Quite some time ago, I did hear once or twice people would come and say, my mother have abused me, scolded me like anything, had not good to say about me, and so on. And they really, practically felt disconnected with mothers. And I also try to advise them that, if we really take the matter seriously and think more way, probably would be able to deal with such issues. And this is what I want to say, that the good mothers, that's understanding, when say mothers are very kind to you, that at times, in order to benefit us, they might use certain harsh words, and which are unpleasant to hear, listen to, but nonetheless, the intentions behind the use of those words are really beneficial intentions, because they basically want us to learn the lessons of life and improve our lives. So consider this situation where our mothers have taken care of us for many years, so that's very kind. Maybe one day, they kind of scolded us, or they admonished us, or they used certain pleasant words on us. Even not the whole day, I don't think any mother could go on for a whole day. But it could be just 5 minutes. The moms run their mouth, and they said something unpleasantly, but which upset us totally. And based on that experience, unpleasant experience for 5 minutes or few minutes or 1 hour, if we totally forget the kindness they have given us for months and years and so on, that seems to be really not fair, unbecoming on our part. Are we so mad at the 5 minutes of mother's foul language, and we never remember the kindness of mothers for months and years?
never see anything you could do was at the that is Mambo Yunga Marta, Penna, you may come on and get that. Penna, you may come and get poem, me come and take Yunga. Lumbo Mambo now you are in a tin and take need of the time John Sig it was. Tomato, you are my thing, the carriage crowds around, make them shumber starting in issues.
Well, I do. Hear about completely parents who have gone completely delusional, and they abuse their children, and in the worst of cases, they kill their own children. Yes, there are cases, that we come to know, But we think in terms of billions in the world, how many such cases are there? Relatively speaking, these seem to be rare cases. And also we need to really, look at the situations as terrible as they are, and how did that happen? How could mom, dad, or one of them, or two of them kill their own children? They are all run by something else. They did not have control over their own lives. And let me explain this more. So my here is that even in the worst case scenarios where mom and dad kill their children, well, they lose control over their, because mom and dad, they are not free of delusions. They have all kinds of delusions: ignorance, anger, hatred, attachment, all stuff. So when any of these delusions, or some of them, or many of them, they kind of rule their state of mind, they become completely delusional and disturbed, and then as of their anger, so they just kill their children. Or, and again, I want to explain this a little more.
So let
me illustrate this of how, when moms and, those particular moms and dad who become completely delusional, and they were completely disturbed by delusion in their life, completely turned upside down by their anger, attachment, or whatever. So then they lose control of the whole situation. Even lost complete control over their life. Forget about, control over all other things. It's like similar to a person who has gone crazy. A crazy person can do anything, any harm to anybody. Not forget about others. They harm themselves. They lose control over. Their mind is gone crazy, so they don't really recognize and who is you. They just basically harm themselves and harm others.
Namji, when the Miss Zangbo Kibuji, Melikujev Yunkin, that Kandalepe, she has certainly respect. Me I go Kibuji. Ko any Razini, Chang Tuni, Razini, that rang Pinja in the swing in the tele and pay singing about Layata, and in Lava Chayata, that kind of joint. She got the picture of the horror of us. The courage in the chair is no Koranga set around and Changi, that say that Changi, any that Razini. Only D1 then those we get about the initiative of the 90s.
Or take another example, like say we know somebody who, under normal circumstances is a very good person, very nice, very pleasant, very nice to hang out together with, and understanding and all that, helpful. But the day he or she become completely drunk, and then under the influence of alcohol can become very abusive. Can go and say all the nastiest thing in the world, to their children, to their husband and wife or significant other, to everybody else, or they will even become very physically violent and hurt others. But when we see this person, what is our understanding of this person? We know that this is not who he or she is under normal circumstances, because we know this person is really nice, to be with. But when he or she drinks and becomes completely drunk, then all the hells break loose here and become completely evil person. So we really understand this person, blame not so much the person, but we really understand the substance abuse in this case. We we empathize with this person, understand this person, and wish this person not to be under alcoholic influence.
That is that Tenzin Dorjee send Yane, and me Yinda getting around the society that give she at anything they can be Yane, she Jamara says, Pama do that Pamela and give she at Tagani Pentosia, so you can to the shepherds. And me Yinda in a Tahanate, Pame Jebe, and this is give she Pentosia that and some and it takes some Yantapaji, never Tapaji don't turn the awareness.
So, the point I'm to make here is, we need to appreciate the kindness of all other sentient beings, because after all, they have been our mothers. And as we can relate that or start there thinking about the mother of this lifetime, who has been very kind to us. And we need to respect everybody and remember their kindnesses, especially mother of this lifetime. And there are cases where someday they say the things they should not be saying, but we should understand that they are influenced by their delusions, or they may, underneath that, they may have a good intentions what they're saying, and keep all the things in perspective, and don't become ungrateful to mother sentient beings. Now we will return to our wonderful text, a miscellaneous collection of Kadampa Geshe's advices. Where we left off last week was that there are three main practices or key points, and each of them are supported by three subsidiary or secondary points or practices. So the first key point or the practice is mind training or mind. And there are many ways to train our mind, but the three more important ways to train mind includes meditating on impermanence, meditating on love and compassion, meditating on two types of selflessness. So last week we talked quite a bit about meditating on impermanence, why that is so important. Second, sub-point here is meditating on love and compassion. I mean, you know how really important it is to cultivate love and compassion. So when we meditate on love and compassion, when we cultivate these attitudes, and as we experience them, we are not going to hurt any sentient being. So here we're talking about meditating on love and compassion, cultivating love and compassion. Let's talk a little bit about love. I think there are two types of love. One is the kind of a pure love, the other is impure love. And love is defined as a state of mind really wishing others to be happy, to have peace, to have goodness, and basically wishing others to have the best of everything. And it is a caring that wishes others to be happy. Now, having defined love as that, we understand it could also be contaminated by attachment. And I think we have quite an experience with a love that is contained by attachment. Now, that kind of love is not what we are talking about. When we talk about cultivating love or meditating on love, we are talking about sort of unconditional love that is pure in the nature, that is not conditioned by attachment and grasping at each other. And of course, then there is what we call great love or Mahametri. Great in the sense that this love, it is extended equally towards all sentient beings, literally. In other words, all sentient beings, underlining the all, sentient beings constitute the focal point or the focus or the subject of this love. So as we focus on all sentient beings and call it love, the subject aspect of love is the same. That is wishing all sentient beings to be happy and to find the causes of happiness. So when we cultivate such as, how nice it would be if sentient beings find happiness, causes of happiness. We also hear love in the context of four immeasurables. There is what we call immeasurable love, which could also be from many different perspectives. And Mahayana perspective, maybe it could be explained in terms of great love, which means that, we truly wish all sentient beings not only to find happiness or to be happy, but also find causes of happiness as well.
So that the next time the shabby rank yen at that category.
So the point I'm trying to make here is, as much as we love ourselves, because we want ourselves to be happy, to find causes of happiness, now we wish the same thing to and for sentient beings. We want others to be happy and find causes of happiness. When that sense of love rises in the mind, thus we are never going to be jealous of others' happiness and others' success and prosperity. Jealousy is a state of mind when others are doing really well, or they have what we call wealth. Wealth could be defined in terms of money, resources, or in terms of education and skills. So when wealth of anything, wealth of education, skills, money, and so on, position, jealousy could not withstand when others are doing well. In a state where they become intolerant of others' success and others doing really well. Now, when we cultivate love for other sentient beings, it is wishing others to be happy and find causes of happiness. So from that perspective, when others are doing well, that's what I want them to be. And we even wish them all the more to be happy and all the more successes and all the more, things happen to them. So now you can see that when we cultivate love for sentient beings, we will not be jealous of their happiness. So when you cultivate great love, we really mean great love. We feel it in our state of mind, and that we truly wish. We try to be unbiased in our love, wishing others to be happy. And otherwise, we could be biased in our love. That, we want others to be happy, but others meaning those who are my friends and family and near to me, but not the others who are strangers or I don't like them. Well, that is a biased state of mind, love. Okay, we may have that. But when we cultivate great love, we cannot have such biased attitudes. When we say, I wish every sentient being happy and find causes of happiness, we mean it. And mean it in our very state of mind, not from mouth. It's just like, okay, I really love everybody, and I'm happy, you're really happy. Just kind of use of the word and the language. But really mean it in the state of the mind. And I hope you got a sense of how to cultivate love, that what is its focus. Great love focuses on all sentient beings, and its subjective aspect is truly wishing, unconditional wishing them to be happy and find causes of happiness. So, of course, maybe I try to put it very simply, what love is and how can we cultivate it. Of course, this requires a lot of what we call consistent cultivation, and it needs a lot of thinking and meditation here. And we have to cultivate this through consistent practice until great love arises within ourselves, without much effort. It's just like it naturally arises in our mind that we're really happy that others are doing well, and we, naturally wish them to be happy and find causes of happiness. So we want our state of mind to be in the natural state of love, and that requires a lot of consistent practice and familiarization and intimacy with love. So then, next thing is need to cultivate compassion. See, we need to meditate these things. We are not talking about love or talking about compassion. We are saying, bomba, cultivate it, meditate on it. Okay? So, again, the focus of great compassion has no effect. Mahakaruna is the same. All sentient beings are the focus of great compassion. So in terms of focus, great love and great compassion are just the same, because both are focused on all sentient beings. There is no slightest difference. But in terms of subjective experiences, great love and great compassion are not the same. They are different.
that's somebody shame.
In terms of subjective experience, great love, a sense of caring and wishing others to be happy and find causes of happiness. But in terms of subjective experience, great passion is caring, but wishing others to be free from suffering and causes of suffering. So that is the subjective difference here.
No. 다 인기 고르잖아. 다 등에 나의 세계통계를 민다 방거리스.
So in order to cultivate compassion for others, we need to reflect upon the problems, sufferings that sentient beings experience.
No. 다 생기 동행의 용에 대한 생기 대한 안에 우페 용다다 우페 다 동행의 나나 많이 나야 다 그게 가서 그러다 생기가 아니 동행의 빼나 이게 잡을 제딩이 던져 아니 동행의 요함당도 왔어. 그때 동행 나디어스.
So when we are cultivating compassion, which means we are trying to understand the suffering of sentient beings and wishing them to be free from suffering, causes of suffering, at least whatever the temporary situations may be, maybe there are sentient beings who don't like that suffering. And the example Geshe has given is people who are having a lot of fun dancing and singing and playing music. So they really don't look like any problem having. They're having a lot of fun. But in reality, these people do have suffering and problems. So when we are cultivating compassion, we need to make efforts to focus on and think of the sufferings and the problems that sentient beings do encounter.
동행적으로 용이 냐와 비에다 등도 던져 동행적으로 용이 하나게 미기는 내 내가 나왔다 동행이 나왔는데 동행적으로 용했다 다양한적으로 많이 받게 다 동행 용이 되게 이가 이나 다 생기 시기를 코에 내려 열심히 되고 다 생송주문도 코에 내려 열 신체 안에 다 동행 나와 해당이 뭐 있어.
Let me put it in another way. That we may be able to find sentient beings who are literally experiencing suffering. And the kind of suffering we talk about is manifest form of suffering. Right, you see, suffering right under our nose. We see it. Okay, they are suffering. And these are, for example, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and many animals. Okay, or even in the human world, there are human beings who are literally suffering, as we can see it. They have terminal illness, they have a lot of pain and suffering, and this, we understand that these people are going through rough time, as we would say. But there are sentient beings, who have suffering, but the suffering does not show it right on the surface, as we would say. They look like, And the example I give earlier is the people who seems healthy and having a lot of fun singing, dancing, and playing music. But these people have suffering. Reason why? Because everybody who is caught up in samsara, sick existence, we got a problem. Okay, so we have suffering. Every sentient being caught in samsara experiences suffering. That's what we need to understand and focus on as we cultivate great compassion.
No. 용의 생기던 양 생기서 가서래 다 생기던 저 코에 내려 용의 생기던 소리스 코에 내려 용 생기던 코알 장의 그 생기던 이 가죠 가고스데.
When we talk about being, perhaps the language I should use, or the Tibetan term we use is sentient, means those with mind. The beings do not have to be beings caught up in samsara. Those of us who are in samsara, we are the sentient beings in samsara, and we got problems and suffering. But there are beings who are not in samsara. They are free from samsara, and they do not have suffering. So about two types of beings. Beings in samsara with suffering, beings out of samsara with no suffering.
ngonjo nangyo mara ngonjo de medio re tigine dunge gnari yibare ta sonja chamta nele yogeta sonje chamalo meini atenzo ningje samta dunge gneli tan jemaru sambeta samba hyuraboji shegwe.
So when beings are going through the experience of manifest form of suffering, or they don't show the light on the surface, it doesn't. If we think in terms of our fellow human beings, there are those, who seem to be very healthy, having a lot of fun, dancing, and having a lot of parties, and they're partying hard. Seems like they have a lot of fun and enjoyment, but considering that they're not free state of suffering, so they do have suffering. But then there are other fellow human beings, who are, suffering from sicknesses, all kinds of other things, but in reality, where you can see the things with manifest suffering or not, being in samsara, we all have suffering, and so we wish everybody to be free from the state of suffering, and that's how we cultivate great compassion.
ane dewata dewi ju kandina ranguli share ta tambaki chagu sonsa chakimbo hindus res.
The reasons why we consider cultivating love and compassion are so important and great core spiritual values is because when we cultivate them, then we have this sense of caring for each other, that we truly wish each other to be happy and causes of happiness, which means we are not going to harm each other. And we truly wish each other to be free from problems and suffering and causes of suffering. And so when we have such state of mind within us, then we really, we stop a lot of negativities and we engage in many special actions.
Thank you. And they can do the low tungman to
Ming the
Sense of Lino Croy in the kissing.
Okay.
No, yeah. That's good and then the Lino.
So there was the prayer request name just announced, and I have some more here. Ivy Sharp passed away, and prayer has hosted. And Bob Danza has health issue, and Glee is in intensive care, and prayers have been requested for them. And also, I have some announcements here. This coming Wednesday, there's no teaching in the evening, because it is one of those talk offering days. So no teaching on this day. And on December 4, 2006, Monday, Geshe giving refuge vows, Buddhist refuge precepts at TDL at 7:30 in the evening. And so I think people who might have requested it or who would like to take the refuge vows, they're welcome. But that Monday there is no meditation. So once again I announce this coming Wednesday no teaching, December 4 Monday no meditation, but Geshe is giving refuge vows at 7:30. And also another one, and as you can see, Geshe still seems to be recovering from some coughing, and maybe people are getting some cold and as I need. So we request, people please don't visit Geshe today. So give him a break.
tengue. And drink some.
Again.
Sadon goes no go. Tattering around to any link to the Ishibiki, it's all a tenny, and Sanji Temper, but you don't never show. And join up with but somebody who's a check at the 2G to the maybe 100. I choose don't think I show Pomanamchi, Pundi shall sentence and get it again, Minti because what the Kenny, Twinching the that maybe 100.
Let us get Kati's merit for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy beings and masters live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sendings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May these and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and may beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. Last but not least, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings, be free from fears and dangers of two types of mental creation, and maybe all reach complete enlightened state soon.
Oh, yeah.
When you get back to this,
This one.
not what in the end I would in the Kuba Mamadon.
Oh, that. And it could have said it.
That's not much again.
You are my Kunila Yajim answer you.
I don't know. No, no, again.